everyone, traders, welcome to the daily webinar. For the YouTube viewers, you're in our trading room right now. We're going to be discussing a trade we took yesterday and what and how we should look at this chart in general. If you're watching my video for the first time, please go and watch the one that I did a few days ago in New Zealand, because this is important. It's the same thing I'm going to say to my traders. So let's start on the 1 hour trade. The 1 hour trade yesterday, I don't know if we put the trade on while I was doing the webinar for you guys on YouTube, but we put this trade on in our trading room. So what's the idea? What's the focus of the trade? If you watch back the webinar I did, you would see we're trying to break this low. So the idea is this would come and break the low. So we're looking at this two ways yesterday. It would either come to this level and go back up, make a new high, making a bigger consolidation, something like this one, and then drop, or it's going to come and drop, right? It is going to come and drop straight through that. And if it drops straight through that, then we relook at the pattern and you decide whether you're going to go for this running flat, right? So that's the trade. That's the trade setup. And this is what it's going to do. So there's still more trade in this. You haven't really lost everything as yet if you didn't take the trade. We're coming down. And I also showed that there's a possibility that at some point it might make a big one like this. I already know a pretty big one somewhere. So at some point, this may or may not make a big one before you break the low. But once it breaks the low, we're expecting an up move, right? So let's say today we may or may not get a trader. I don't know if it's going to consolidate. If it consolidates, we get a trade. If it doesn't consolidate, it just goes. If it starts to make a big consolidation, well, then we might be trading in the range if it's as big as this range. If it is as big as this range, we will trade. We will know the size of the range by the very first impulse. And then that will also give us a clue of how complex it will be. The second and the third wave within that will tell us, okay, this is getting complex, or it's a simple one. If the second wave is very corrective, then it's a simple one. If the second wave is sharp, like in this case, you got one sharp one, you got another sharp one, you know that you're in a range of very complex. You know the amount of waves that's going to probably happen there. And that's what you're going to be watching at, right? So, Lodek, don't forget to mute. Sorry, we're on YouTube too, by the way. Yeah, let me mute. Yeah, good. Sorry about that. There's one of my traders got distracted. Yeah, let's go. So, what we would look for is that it would come here. Now, forget about this piece. This is what I want to bring to all my YouTube viewers and also my traders. Forget about that piece. Let's go back to the big picture. Let's assume for a second that you really, you missed it and you thought, okay, but I'm not going to get that piece. I might or might not be here. The timing and all of that is important. The time of the day to trade. Because if you're in New York and that trade trigger an Asian session, I think yesterday it was in the Asian session because I wasn't in my trading room for the New York session, right? If it triggers there, you probably would not get the trade. And that's okay. You can't get all the trades because you're probably not going to be there when it happens. But this is only a little piece remaining to this point. And if you know anything about wave analysis and you know the way we look at structures, is if this happens and we start to see this, the thought process is that you might get this. Now, this is where your focus should be. Forget about actually getting any trade to the bottom now. Now, what if it actually drops much deeper? We've seen that, I think, in the Euro Yen the other day, right? Where this one drops straight to the bottom here and then reversed. There is still a lot of trades to get there. So we will still trade it downwards. We don't know where it's going to stop. Or we don't even know if this is going to continue to do this again. You do this. We will still trade this up, right? The range is huge. We don't know if it's going to do this, drop again, do this, drop again, do this, drop again, and then eventually go back up. We don't know that, right? That's the unknown factor. Because you don't know how complex the pattern could get. We will figure it out as we go along, right? I don't think it needs to get more complex because the way I'm looking at this pattern right now, this could be the last wave to the downside. We're not going to go into that details here because that detail is for my group only. This is for YouTube. That is where we discuss the specific patterns we are seeing and how we can look at it, right? So basically, my traders should immediately get what I'm saying is that this could be the last wave down and we could be starting the impulse. So if you're a YouTube viewer and you don't understand the thing I just said, and you don't understand why we think it's going to go there and go back up, and you would like to learn this, well, I can plug my course here for you. You should join our room, and we will be doing a course sometime next month because we already have a lot of traders who join who haven't done the last course. I think about 4 or 5 people who were new to the group that hasn't been in the last course. And if you would like to join, you may want to consider doing that right now. So let me go back to trading. if we get a flag here again today, we will sell. So I was explaining to my traders that if you took the trade and you closed it here, I agree with you, but you should re-enter the trade. By rule, you should re-enter the trade, right? So then you're in a second trade now. If you put it to break even because you thought we broke through this structure and we're going to drop more, good for you, right? But I know traders have to go to sleep, right? This is an hourly chart. Look how much hours it stayed. You don't have to stay in front of a computer. You don't have to keep the trade. Close the trade, put an entry, go sleep, right? Or close the trade, wait till you come back 6 hours after. And then this is how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours after. Come back 8 hours after, put on the trade. You're a totally new trade. You can't sleep for 8 hours. Any one of you sleeping for 8 hours and you're a trader, we have a problem. No trader should be sleeping for 8 hours, right? That's a rule. You can't sleep for 8 hours if you're a trader, right? It's too much. I sleep for 4 or 5 hours and that's more than enough. So let's go. Let's start a webinar now. Good morning, traders. And to my YouTube viewers, I will probably continue next week, give you the whole of next week webinars free. So my daily webinar, which we do in our trading room. So please share the link, please share the video so more people get access to it. And especially since we will be doing a course, I would hope my traders will help share it so people can know that we'll be doing a course very soon and they should join because you definitely would want to learn this stuff. So dollar index, it came down. And it came pretty deep. This would have been a good sell if you sold that one or if you sell this one, there was a good sell. I think this one we missed because I was expecting it to be a little more complex. I thought it would come here, go back there and then thing. So this specific one we would have missed. And because of that, we also, I think, missed the euro buy, right? We didn't take the euro buy because of that, because we thought it would be a little more complex. But we got the yen trade, we got the New Zealand trade. And I think, I don't know if any of my traders got the Aussie trade. We will check that. I think we did talk about selling the Aussie and a few more trades. So we'll look at those. I think one of them we definitely spoke about was the CAD yen because of the way CAD and yen is behaving, and Aussie yen. Aussie yen was a trade we actually put in the trading room. So this one came down and is going back up. So now we would probably have to relook at the whole structure. Is it possibly an expanding flat, a bigger expanding flat than this one, right? That is quite possible. But if you're making a series of expanding flats like this going up, you might be channeling, which means even if you get a trade set up here, it will probably just do this and start to repeat the same process coming here, you know, like doing this. So at some point, if you start to do that and you see the momentum dying, you will probably have a much deeper correction. But we still take the buys, which means if you get a buy set up here, we will take the trade. Silver. Yep, you should have been in the second trade as well. I don't think we had enough reasons to sell the second one because this one, this is another trade we missed because I thought this would probably do this, give us a flat here, and then we will get the trade. So we didn't, when I was in the room, we didn't put the entry order in, and I don't know if any other traders put it in. Well, consider that one gone. So at this point, what we can expect? At this point, you can expect two things. This consolidation and we continue to drop, or we probably even go back up. Now, the sharpness with which it has come down tells me unlikely we're going back up. Because if this had come down like this, we would definitely be going back up. But it came down pretty sharp. So any consolidation here is a sell, and we are already getting a consolidation, which means you can put an entry order right now. An entry order here is good. All you want is for this to go back slightly to this level, but I don't know if it's going to go. What if it's a contracting flat? What if this is a running flat? Put the trade on, right? So we will go with this trade. I think this is a good one, even if it makes a small flat here, and I think we're making one, so that's an entry. We're not trading the bigger structure, right? We're not trading this, we're trading this flag. So for my traders, you know what that means. That means that we know that this thing will eventually come here, minimum, but this one could only go here and then start a deeper correction before you go down. The flag. So we trade the flag like we trade all flags, the same rules of management of trade. I'll be here today all day. We have news at 6:30 p.m. and we have news at 11:30. That is just after this webinar. So just after this webinar, we have news. We'll probably be in the room trading. And at 6:30 p.m., I'll be here also 6 o'clock. So I'll be for the New York session and I'll be for 6 o'clock. And we will do one more session after this before that, right? Before the New York. So, yep, this is a trade setup. We should get that entry order and go. Gold. Yeah, it did. We were expecting this to go up back. We were expecting this to probably do that and then drop. It didn't. They actually drop and they're going. So we'll probably get a bigger consolidation here. I'd look at this as a bigger consolidation. Can we look at this as breaking the low, right? This is all the consolidation. We broke the low and we're now going up. That is the, you know, you can probably say, well, that looks good. But this is, again, this is a very sharp drop, right? And this is not in any way going up as an impulse. You actually pull back, you go there, you make consolidation, you're doing this. So I think we might be ending up with a bigger consolidation here. That's all. A bigger consolidation here and then they drop. So I wouldn't be buying into this consolidation unless we can negate it, which means unless I'm convinced that it's no longer doing that. And for my traders, you know the rule, right? Break the top, consolidate, we'll buy, we'll speak about which top afterwards. So we'll come back in the trading room when we look for this trade. Could it be a smaller running flat? I don't think it's a running flat. I think it'll be more complex than that, simply because this seems to be the sharpest one in it. So either that is the end and we're starting a consolidation here, or all of this will be part. This is pretty sharp, so all of this will be part of a bigger one. We'll look at that when we come back in trading room. There's no trade, not for the buy, not for the sell. This one actually, this would have been a break-even trade. We're in the 1 hour, so pretty much you know that's a break-even trade, right? If you took the trade. Again, we're looking for sells. Don't focus on the buy on this one. This is just one wave down. This is just one wave up. That doesn't mean anything, right? We want the B wave, and then we want the C wave, and then we'll see what we do. Is it making a bigger flat here for an upside? I don't think so. The bigger structure, we shouldn't be doing that. We pretty much came up high enough. I think we're just making the B wave downwards now. See, this one was sharp, and then they kind of come down slowly here. So that's a sharp reversal if you look at it that way, right? This is the sharp reversal. And now what we're doing here is we're making the B part. So I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to do this eventually and then drop, and then we eventually go back there for the bigger flat and then drop. That's a simple flat. It doesn't have to be that way. It could be more complex, but I'll just give you an idea with a simple flat. So we'll see how complex it becomes. Can we trade in this? I'm looking at this range. The trading range we're looking at is this one, the first impulse up. Can we trade in that range? Absolutely. What we should do in that range is take every sell we get, in case it becomes a bigger running flat. So if we get a consolidation here, which will probably take a day or two, which is next week, if we get a consolidation here, that would be a good idea because this drop would work, right? Even if it drops short and then go back up, we can get out of a trade that size. So we have 1, 2, 3 sharp waves. Actually, we have 4 sharp waves. We don't have a pattern, right? We don't even have the smallest version of the pattern as yet. So when we get the first B wave in the smaller impulse, then we start counting patterns. Then we start counting waves of patterns. Euro. Euro was a sell. It broke the top. Let's see. No, we were looking for the buy in euro, sorry, but we didn't take the buy here in the 1 hour. Let me go back to the 1 hour. We're looking for the buy, but we didn't put the entry. It did came back pretty fast. And the reason we didn't put the entry here is because the thought process was it has to do this and come back here. And that didn't happen. It just took off. So I don't think we're looking at this as an expanding flat. That would be weird, right? Looking at this as an expanding flat or probably running flat for this to go up. I don't think so. I think this is a reversal sign, right? So somehow there is probably a contracting flat somewhere in there. We don't even have to go look through it. There's no need for that. Can we still look at this as the bigger structure? This entire piece is the bigger flat. I think we can, especially if this makes a flag and drop. So this is similar to what happened in the New Zealand I just showed you, right? So if this remains as it is a flag, we put a sell, which means we can put a sell right now. We can put a sell sort of there because I'm in the 1 hour and that's a lot of hours, see? Now, what happens if it actually goes right back up? What happens if this goes right back up like this? Well, then if we get a flag, we will go with that trade and we will come back with the possibility of this being a running flat. I'm not looking at that now because of this reversal pattern. When we see those 2 sharp waves like that, we're thinking more of a reversal rather than that. I'd rather go with a contracting flat in here, right? Some kind of a contracting flat in there. And this one goes back up. So there's no buy setup, but an entry for a sell should be here right now. And then we see what happens. If this breaks, I am not expecting them to do this and go back up. I'm expecting them to drop through the bottom. So once it breaks here, we'll try to get it to break even and see we'll manage it and see how it goes, right? But basically, we'll try to see big, because if this drop now, let's say within the next 2 hours, this actually drop. This is a sharp impulse down still. So this would probably be all. That might be all that you get. I don't think it's going to come this sharp down and then start to correct, right? So that's a good sell setup. Let's see if it goes. Pong. If you bought it, you close it. I think you see why. And we were very clear that it should probably come and break this top, but it didn't go break that top. So how do we look at it? A more complex pattern? Possible. This looks like a flat here. We could go with this piece here. You could make an argument for that as a running flat. So, or even this pullback here is a running flat. So why are we getting another one there? And this is coming down pretty slow. So are we making something that looks more like this now and then go back up? I don't see it as a contracting flat. I mean, I'm not looking at it as a contracting flat right now. And I'm not looking at this as an impulse going down, right? I think one of the things we were thinking whether we could call this a running flat also, right? That was an option, but we didn't do that because of this. And then this and this is not adding to that being an impulse, right? That is not making it better for an impulse to the downside. So it still is not the running flat, which means we're still within some kind of a consolidation. You just leave it alone. This is a low. That is not a sell setup, right? That's just a low. So we're not looking at anything, just leave it alone. And if it has to drop, we go with the euro. Aussie, we didn't put on an Aussie sell yesterday. As a matter of fact, we had an Aussie buy, right? This was the Aussie buy. I think you see why you closed it. So that didn't go. That would be a break-even trade. Let's see this, which means that this was all the correction. That was all the correction in this one, right? It's going down, which means take this off. That was the low. That wasn't the trade. Wait for a flag. So I don't know if anybody was in the Asian session this morning. If you were, that was a trade. If not, wait for this to consolidate. We'll get a flag here. I think we'll probably get a flag here. And this could be a trade. If you get this trade, where we're going, we're heading to break the low, right? If we get a consolidation here, we're heading to break the low. So if you get a consolidation here, we'll go with this trade to come back and break this low. So there's some trade there, which is in line with what New Zealand is doing, right? The idea was between New Zealand and Aussie, the structure were different. So the Aussie was showing upside on the daily. The Aussie was showing more upside on the daily. New Zealand was showing more downside on the daily. All we'll do is change make this a bigger consolidation. And I don't actually think this one is going to go down straight, because this one is literally faster. It's not that slow like the New Zealand. Structurally, it's different, right? It's out of this. And by rule, you guys know what I mean by that when I said it's out of this, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if this starts to do more consolidation in here rather than drop there. And then we get something like this, make a flat here, drop to this level and go. Again, to my traders, you know why I draw it like that, right? If you don't know why I draw it like that, especially new traders, you will have to go back and look at how we look at patterns. So I'm not looking at this dropping like this, although it could, because this one is relatively sharp. So I'm not looking at that single drop, but let's see. If it drops, we'll see. We'll still take all the sells, but we'll be more cautious. I still like the sell in New Zealand more than I like the sell in the Aussie. This trend line is not there. Take it off. It can't be there. This one, it can't be here as yet. Just to know, I was just showing you the future, right? So let's not confuse ourselves too early. Let's see how far this goes. Can it still reverse from this point? We still can't exclude the running flat, which means this can still reverse, right? Just be aware that it can still reverse. So keep an eye out. We get the flag, we'll sell it. New Zealand, we get a flag, we sell. Swiss. Okay, let's see what happens here. Nothing. It didn't even break the low. We didn't break the low here. So I think there was a trade from, no, we didn't take it. We were expecting this to go back, so we didn't take it. The idea was that it was gonna go, and I don't think it didn't break the low, just short of breaking the low. So we're still in the consolidation. I think we'll go with a contracting flat. We could look at this as a possible contracting flat because we broke the top. So take that out now. Let's go with 1 hour. We get a sell setup, we go with it. Right. This looks more like a flag. This looks more like it's going to make a flat here. So it might be a short-term buy. You could probably get an impulse going out of it, right? It comes a little lower like this. That could be a buy setup. It might give you one impulse before they reverse. On the big picture, I don't think we're ready for the upside as yet because we're still just slightly breaking out of this pattern. A little up doesn't mean anything. If you already broke the top, so I don't think that a little up means anything. I don't see a contracting flat in here, which means I don't think we've started this move up. Let me put that in the bigger picture and show you. So bring it here. Yeah, I don't think that with this move here going up for any reason is the equivalent of this, right? Because that started from this point. This is the move going up. I don't think it's an equivalent of this because in that case, we would have to find the down move here. And this is a correction, right? So actually this whole move, if we look at this entire move, it started from this point, right? If you're looking at this piece as a single one, it started from there, but it's not. That means if we look at this as the correction for a 1, 2, then you can make an argument whether you think that is all one piece. But I don't think it's one piece, but in any case, we're not looking, still don't have this one. Right? So I think we're just making a long drawn out running flat pattern with this all remaining still as a B part. And you can put this here. You can do that. Impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse, correction, impulse. Probably either drop now or get another bigger correction again. It can do that for quite a while before you get this move done. And then we'll see what happens. So let's go back to the top now, right? Do we have divergence still? Yeah, we still have it. It hasn't gone anywhere. Right, it's still divergence. Internally, do we have divergence in the 1 hour? Yes, we do. So if you're taking a buy here, you have to be very, very cautious. It's a 15-minute trade, and you would have to make sure that if it doesn't go, you get the hell out of it really quick. Right, so either ignore it, or you can take it with that idea that it's not gonna go very far. Okay? We're looking for the buy. There's a reason we didn't sell it here yesterday, right? Anyway, anybody got this buy? Any one of you guys got that buy?
Yeah.
Well done. Perfect. Take the buy. Remember, I was in the room and I said, ignore any sales. We're not selling it, but we're taking the buys. So that's perfect because this has to go back up. Any buy, anyway, we'll get a buy today again. Let's get a flag and we'll go for the buy. It will make a flag. This thing makes a lot of corrections. So we get another flag here. We're going for this move up there. It's not going to go in a straight line. It probably would make a few more corrections here, but we can trade them all. So let's see how that goes. When that gets to the top, well, if this is going to go some more, I think, well, I don't know, Swiss might follow. Not necessarily that it will follow because yen is not following, right? But Swiss might. Yen is not following. See? Yen actually is consolidating. Let's go back to the 15 minutes. The 15 minutes trade, you would have closed for break even. I think you should have closed it quite early when, after the, not on the first pullback, I think you all know the rule. Not on this one, but on this one, you got break even, right? So let's call it a break even trade. This wasn't the profit we were looking for. I don't know if any one of you closed at that point, but it's a break even trade. And now we're getting more of this. So here's the thing here. We can look at this as a running flat. That's one option. And it's finished. So if you want to put an entry here, not a good idea. Wait, see if you get a flag here. But I don't think it's that. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking this thing looks more like it's doing this to go back up one more and then drop. I don't know why I think that is well, not, I don't know why. I don't like the way this last piece went up here. Right? It didn't go as aggressive as I thought it should go. So I believe we might be making something else, a bigger structure. So what we can do, we don't want to miss the sell. You never want to miss the sell. Is you can put an entry over here with a stop above the top, but that's not the trade we're looking for. That's just in case. You know that, right? If it drops, then we should be in the trade. But we want a flag here. And if we get a flag here, we're selling. Any flag there, we're selling. If any one of you sold from the top here, you did well. Right? If any one of you sold from this one here or here, you did well. If not, wait for another flag. If it's going to go up, We'll ignore the buy, let it see how high it goes. If it comes way back into this, that's a flat for one more up. If it just comes a little, break the stop slightly, start to drop, we'll sell it. So today we would get a trade on the yen, not the upside. We'll see. You're in New Zealand. This would have been a good buy. It seems like we're going to go up. We'll have to go with this as a contracting flat, not the best one, but we'll have to take that. Running flat, sorry. That will be the running flat. So we're at the top there now where we expect it to go. And if this is what we expect it to do, right? 1, 2, 3. Somewhere we're long here, we'll have to look for downside. So I'll leave this here, right? I'll leave this here. So somewhere along, again, I don't think this is the low, right? I don't think this one is the low. And this is the flat. We didn't do that because, well, this didn't look very corrective. But let's make the assumption that it is the low. That any flag above this top here, any correction or flag above that top will be a buy for long term. That is this one here, right? This long-term one. If it makes above it, as long as you haven't made a flag above the top, you come close to the top, we will still look at this as a possible running flat. So it should come one more down and then start the up move. Right, that's the assumption. Because we had this perfect. It did go, the only part of this that wasn't perfect was this not breaking the low here, but we already realized that doesn't have to happen. You can still go with this as a flat. And you can still go with this as a flat, right? Especially when it breaks the top, which means because this one didn't break the low, this impulse is breaking the top, right? So we're looking at the impulse starting from this point. This is a running flat in the middle. The entire structure becomes like a running flat because you still broke the low. The B part still broke the low of the A, right? So it will become a running flat, but because the impulse, this impulse started above that one, it could break the top. So let's see. We'll look at it. You probably get 1 or 2 more trades to the upside if you get a flag again. If you get another flag, you can buy 1 more impulse up. Let me put where this top is. Let's put a line for the top here. 1 more impulse up, and after that, we start looking for the sell setup or any correction. Once we break the top, any correction would be a buy. Any reversal with it. Impulse in the flag will become a sell for the next move down. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think it should. This, I really don't like this one's a contracting flat. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So let's wait and see. If that is a contracting flat, then we should have a running flat here, right? This one would be part of a running flat. You see that, right? So because we have this correction here. So if we put this as a contracting flat, this will have to come back here sharp and then go back up. So we will know how to trade it as well. EuroCAD? Okay, this one is finally going up now. So we might get this one as a running flat too. Pretty much what we're thinking is that this could be a running flat here. I'm not sure whether we put this piece as the impulse or whether we'll take the impulse. Because remember, this could be part of a running flat where this is above the top there too, right? Because it's corrective. So it could break the top and it could break the low and then come back and it could be like this. Or we could take this as the top, some smaller correction in there and somewhere here. Right, so go back to the 15. You have this flat, you had this flat, you made a low, you're going up. It's going up pretty much similar to this. So the upside, I think we ignore for now. If it starts to drop, we sell it. Anywhere we see a sell setup. Can it come back down, go back up? It can, because this one had this pullback, it had this pullback. You can go with this as a contracting flat in there. You can go with all of this as part of a bigger correction. So I wouldn't be surprised if you do this and go back up, giving us a flat in there. And then we get the downside. So we really don't have any trade set up on this today. Euros? Okay, well, this broke out without giving us. We'll have to probably go with this. I don't like this, but this might be the one we have to go with. That contracting flat. And this is just a pullback within the up move, a deep pullback within the up move, because we already broke the top and it's not coming back. So you can pull this, assuming that that is a contracting flat. We didn't take the contracting flat because we're assuming that this could make a much more complex pattern. Even if you didn't trade this, no big deal. There are many better trades. So now we're going up and it doesn't really fit the whole structure. Because this is sharp. This is pretty sharp. This is sharp. And these are sharp. So if this is the most corrective part in that thing, at some point, we will drop. We might repeat something like this, right? Pull back, drop, go back up there, give us a long drawn out running flat, and then continue down. Do I think we have to go down or we have to go up? Let's see. Well, we're more downside right now. See, we're more downside and we're coming to break this low. Right, this is the low it's coming to break. So long drawn out running flat, there's not a problem. Right, it's well within the range. So go back to the 1 hour and let's see if we get it. Do we have divergence? We do. Yep. Do we have divergence in the bigger bit? Well, you can check for that. I'm just checking for these two divergences here. And I think we do. So for now, there is divergence, which means any turn could be a good sell. You don't have a buy. You could still get buys in it if you get a flat or something, take the trade, a flag or something, take the trade for one more impulse up. But I think we might be looking for a sell setup very soon. Euro Swiss. Yeah, we're already looking for this sell. Let's see. And then a water. Yeah, the question is, this is complex. I'll take this as the low of the impulse. Sharp move up, sharp move here. This is the most corrective part. So we should probably do this and do this. But remember what happened to the euro? Where this just dropped like that and then go. When that happened, you're possibly looking at some version of a contracted flat. It's rare, but it happens. So if we're going to trade it, what we have to do is probably do this, put in a stop above the top, and then put in a sell setup somewhere. Either you get a flag here first, right? Either allow it to make a flag. I wouldn't put an entry under this low. You can see that you don't need to do that, right? This could probably go back up. So you can put an entry here if you want with a stop above the top for one option, assuming that they can tag you and go back up and then drop, because that is what the pattern should look like, right? But if at any reason we think we get a flag here, we'll take that trade. Any flag. So we'll come back to this in the trading room again. We'll look back at this in a lower time frame. I want to see what pattern we have in here. Could this be the top? Could it be a flat like this? And this is the top of it. You guys check it, and if that's the case, we can put an entry here. So we'll have to check that in the trading room. Euro Yen. Okay, it's coming down. So have we made the top finally? I don't know. You could argue whether this is all the correction here and we've made the top, or whether we're making a complex running flat. Or is it a complex running flat? Both of them possible. Right now, both of those are absolutely correct. So how do you trade it? Any reversal in a flag, you buy. Any consolidation, you sell. Any flag at this point. In here, any flag you get now, we can sell, because that any flag would break that low. And that means it's going to go. So I'll take this off. That was just to show you the two options, and now you can decide which one. This can go down from this point. It doesn't have to go higher. We already broke the top. That is the top. They were trying to get to the top of the arrow, right? When they broke it here, we didn't get to the top of the arrow. So now from that point, it can come down. Pretty much expect this move down. So sell setups would be great. Any flag will start selling it. Euro pound. This thing wouldn't break, right? Just wouldn't break. Okay, let's put it here. And let's see if it's going to break eventually. Anyway, I think we assumed that this would make a flat, but I don't think it was going to go that high. We knew this piece was going to go up for a flat, right? That you could get 1, 2, 3, come back here and then go. I think yesterday we were keeping it under this low, because we wanted that it could come here. So we could make an argument that that is actually a running flat, expanding, running flat. It's a little large, not as big as the one on the euro, but yeah, this one is more running flat. So this could go back, make a new high and then drop. So when it makes a new high, it will make a new high. You put the entry order under this low for the last impulse for the sell. It's still going to drop. Pound Swiss. Okay, we're still making new highs. Yesterday we saw this. I don't know if any one of you bought it. If you bought it, good for you, which is this one, right? We saw that yesterday, and that would have been a buy, which would have been a break-even trade, right? You would close it for break-even. So this would have been the buy above the stop. This was the flat. It didn't come all the way, but if you put the entry, it makes sense. It's still a running flat. So at this point, you close it. Is it making a flag for upside, or is it trying to drop? Can we still assume that this is making this expanding flat? I think we broke the low, so we're going with expanding. It's still possible. Let's wait for a flag. I would not sell it in this piece, right? And I wouldn't until we break out. Let it break out, make flag, and then we go for sell. It could still be an expansion, an extension of a running flat before they go. But we don't have a buy setup. Pound New Zealand. It broke out, so now we have to wait to see where we put this, right? If we were putting this was the flat here, we'll have to go with this as an expansion. And now we wait for sell setup here. Let's see if we get the sell setup. I don't think they're totally going up. If they're totally going up, you'll have to get a flag or something. If we're reversing from this point without breaking the low, I don't think that's a point of reversal. We haven't broken the lows yet. So if we get a flag from the sell setup, we'll take the trade. If it makes a flag, it's dropping already. You want it to drop some more, make a flag here, we'll go for the sell. I think that could be the top. We do have divergence. So that could be the top. For the buy, if it makes a flag, I don't know if anybody bought this, you close the trade or put it to break even. If you get a flag here, we'll take one trade at a time to the upside. Hong Yen. If you got the sell, you close, you re-enter, right? So this would have been a close here, or if you're still in, you would have closed it somewhere here because it didn't go for 3-4 hours. Your re-enter would have been here, right? I would probably put the entry here because I'll be looking at that as the flat, right? This would be the flat. This here would be the 1, 2, 3. This is the flag within this one, so that's a good sell setup. I am pretty sure some people saw that. I don't know if any one of you in this room got it. Right? See? The impulse came down sharp. You got 1, 2, 3. This is a flag, so this would have been a sell if any of the traders sell it. Yesterday, we sold this. We sold this piece going down. Right, so you would close that trade and then you would re-enter. In any case, the stop was here. So if you stayed with the trade, but if not, let's see. So at this point now, we're going to check for two things. Are we coming down to make this one here now? Or is it just a smaller flat of its own? So any flag under here, any flag here becomes a sell for this one. So any flag here would be a sell. If you sold, that was good. If not, wait for a flag, we'll go for the next trade. Pound CAD. Turned out perfect, right? So yesterday we were saying why we're not selling this is because there is a very, very high suspicion that this thing is making an expansion here, right? And we decided we're going to ignore this and see if it comes back there. Well, it works, right? Because it was looking very much like that. I think this will get to the top there. Now, this could also be the low if this is an expanding flat and this is the low and we're reversing, right? This one is very confusing. You have to look at it two ways. Let's look at the big picture. If this one would if this thing is going up from here, I don't think we're going up from there. Oh, we could be going up from there, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, we could be going up from that point. You have this already. You got this. You got this. You got this. This could literally go back here, right? So we're looking at this as a one. I don't know how this piece is not fitting as the whole. I don't even think we're missing anything there. Nowhere it's not fitting. It would have been perfect if you would look at it that way. Then you would get 1, 2, 3. This would make sense and we'd be going up for this one, right? So that one up to the top there would make this the biggest flat. And then we'll have to come down for this and this one, right? So we'll be left with those two. But this piece is not fitting that way. We'll relook at it today. But for now, I think we're going up just for this one, right? So We're looking at a 1, 2, 3, which means we have to go back up, come back down, then go up. That would complete the pattern, right? I think that's where we think it's complete. So this could be the turning point. Come back to the 4-hour. It could be that this here is an expanding flat, and that is the low, and we'll reverse it. Or it could be that this whole thing is making an expanding triangle. So how would you know which is it? You don't have to know that. It's pretty easy. You get a flag here, buy it, right? So we get a flag or a correction here, we buy it. Because if it's an expanding, we get a flag here, we take the trade to break this stop and put it to break even. That's simple. If it's not, it's going to continue to go. If this is the low and this here is the expanding flat, this will go up. If it's an expanding triangle, they'll come to the top, they'll start to reverse, make a flag, we'll close this buy, and we'll go with the sell. So now you take the trade. It's a buy setup, but we should take it. I think we're getting a running flat here. Yeah, we could make an argument for run flat. This is the lowest point. So go with that one. This could be a small flat of its own here. See this piece. Final move down, move up. You're getting a running flat. Put an entry there, put a stop here, go for this one, put it to break even. We're not trading this. We're just putting it in case that's the running flat. So I think we have a trade here. Let's see in the 15. And it's a series of flats. It's not exactly one running flat. It could be a channel forming because there's a series of flat there. Okay. Put an entry for it and let's see where it takes us. We'll take a break even if it's a break even. If they're coming deeper, let they come. You could go with a series. You could still make it one big running flat. It's still possible. Right? This is one running flat and then we go. If it breaks through here, make a flag, take off that entry, we'll probably look for a sell. Right? So I think we can go with that. Vamos. Anybody got the buy? There's a reason we put that buy there because we were looking at this as a running flat. That buy was from yesterday in the I think it was just after the webinar. We put that buy on. It works. I don't know why nobody got it. Any one of you got it here? Some of you should have been in the room yesterday. That would we looked at it, we said this could likely go up rather than come down. Although it was looking like it's going to make a downside, right? Put it, and then we'll manage with a stop here for that trade to the top. Well, it's gone. So let's go back to the 4-hour now. That could be a deeper correction in the making, or from that point, we could come back down. It could be all the correction. 1, 2, 3, and we come down from that point. Or it's just the start of a bigger correction. So if we get a flag, we buy. If it makes a 1-hour flag, you buy. If it starts to drop, we'll sell it. If it starts to drop here, we'll sell. But if it makes a flag, we'll continue to buy because it could be a much, much, much bigger correction on the daily or for Aussie Swiss. It's coming down as expected. So we still, if you sold this flag yesterday, I wasn't there when this happened, but if any one of you sold that, great, because we're still in this range, right? So that was a good sell. I wasn't there yesterday. We'll find out in the New York session if anybody did. Aussie Yen. This one had a good sell as well. I wasn't there. We were looking for this piece. So from this point here, we have to first negate this possibility, right? Because we don't have anything for this. And I don't see anywhere we can put a contract like that. So that's the first one we want to negate. If you get another flag here, we'll sell it, but we'll sell it with caution. If it reverses, which means at any point this thing turn, make a flag for the upside, we'll go with that trade, right? There's a possibility that you could be making a bigger running flag. If whatever reason that's it, I don't think that's it, but if that is the case and we're dropping, we have to wait for another flag. There was a flag here yesterday. That would have been in the New York session. Aussie CAD. It came down a little more. We broke the low. So for this point, we're looking for the reversal. From this point, we're looking for this at some point here to stop, reverse, make a flag, and we'll buy. Aussie New Zealand. You have a running flat now. So an entry above the top is a good idea. A stop below it is a good idea. These are three Aussie pairs looking upside. Aussie New Zealand, Aussie CAD, and Aussie Yen. Three Aussie pairs looking upside. What is the pound Aus and the euro Aus telling us? Pound Aus could come down from this point, and euro Aus absolutely could come down from that point too. But this still potentially could go because this is a separate correction of its own. So we'll have to relook at Aussie very carefully. Let's go. New Zealand Swiss. Yep, it's going down. So at this point, it's going to probably break through this one, and it could be the big drop, or it would just break, come to this level, and go back up. So we'll watch this level. Right. So they might just break, come down to this level here, probably like this. 1, 2, 3. Go back up there, come here, and then go. Or we drop through the bottom. If we drop through the bottom, we're going straight to this level. We're going straight to break this low, right? So we're coming back to break this low. We keep that structure there to see if it's still maintaining the structure. They're dropping. Any sell setup you get is a good trade. I don't know if anybody in the trade already. You should have been. If you're not, wait for another flag and sell. We get a 1 hour flag and sell. We don't have any trade setup right now, but if you took the trade from this point here, that probably would have been a good one because we had 1, 2, 3. You would expect it to do this and then go back up or drop through. So if we get a flag here now, this could be a trade to the downside. New Zealand CAD. Well, depending on where you sell it and if you sell this yesterday, you're back now here, you probably put it to break even. I'll put it to break even right now if you're still in the trade, right? But because the stop was above here. We're selling this one. Your stop should have been here or here, right? So if you're still in this, we'll drop that pullback. It's gonna probably make another running flat here and then drop. And that'll become a running flat. So put it to break even, take the break even, and then we wait for the running flat and we'll put an entry under the low. Once it pulls back there, we'll put an entry. It's still downside. I don't think the downside is finishing this. No, it still has to break this low, right? Pretty much like the New Zealand dollar. The New Zealand CAD has a similar structure. A move up and we are coming down like this. So once we break this low, I think there's a good chance we could get that. Let's see. New Zealand Yen. Okay, it didn't break out. It dropped actually. Let's go back. We're expecting to see whether this would break out, but it dropped. So this turned out to be a flat at the top for the downside. So take that off. And now we can make an assumption whether we're making this flat. Right? If we're making that flat, it should come a little lower, which is about, let's assume they're going to be equal. And that should be about here. So that's what we expect. If you get a flag sell, this would have been a sell, but if you get a flag here, I'll sell it for this one. One more impulse down. If we're lucky, it drops through the bottom. Why? If this is a contracting flat, we looked at that option, right? If this is the contracting flat and that's the top, this will continue to go. If not, we'll stop short here and go right back up. So we can't exclude, because all contracting flats can be running flats. So we can't exclude that as yet. So let me put both of them on so that we will know what are the two options we're looking. We're looking at the possibility this is a contracting flat. This drops through the bottom, or it is a running flat. They come to about this level, go back up. Any flag would be a sell. We'll take the sell and then we'll see what happens. CAD Yen, good sell. The CAD Yen you definitely should sell. Yesterday I said CAD up, yen down, sell the CAD Yen, right? Anybody got the trade. That was a perfect trade. Okay, let's go. We're looking for this one coming down. We have to exclude this first. And once that is excluded, it could be total downside because we don't know whether this is a single correction or we're making a running flag. Any flag will sell. Cat Swiss. It might be turning. Let's see. Okay, we'll have to wait and see what this whole structure is. This whole piece going up. Do we have divergence? We do. We have a lot of divergence from this too, right? That's huge divergence. But this pattern looks incomplete. It doesn't look very complete. You could look for an expanding flat in the middle, and you could make an argument for this is an expanding flat. In that case, we have 1, 2, 3. This one, we'd probably have to put it with this because there's a lot of in that piece, right? These are just smaller moves going up. And we have smaller moves going up here. So if this starts to reverse from there with divergence in play, we can look for trade to the downside, right? Let's go to the 4 hour. We have divergence here. Between these two, I want to check for divergence. Let me see. Nope. So if it turns out to be a flat like this, if this piece here turns out to make a flat like that, we go back up. So if we get a flag, we'll sell. Wait for a flag, sell it for an impulse, go back up, make down, we get one more up. If it keeps dropping, good for us. So any flag we'll take. Let's go to the 1 hour. Wait for a flag. We have to wait for a flag now. If we get a flag, we'll take the trade. We do have 1 hour divergence, which is good. All right. I think we have 1 hour divergence here. Let me just check it. Yeah. So any flag is a sell. This is a very good one now. Swiss yen. This, if you wanted to, an entry for a buy because that was looking corrected, but it's going down. So that is the top. We'll make an assumption that is the top there. This one had a complete running flat already. Look for sell setups. It's coming down slow. It started slow, but if we're breaking down, right? So now you're getting these. Any flag now becomes sells because this piece here was very slow. You got that. That will be the bigger correction. You're making some slow ones here. Any flag will continue to go and see how fast it takes off. And Chinese yuan. Still going up, so you'd have to probably just wait for flags and buy. Wait for any flag, take the trade. It's not going faster than 1 hour. Just have to wait. Let's go. Silver. Sorry, that's a silver, copper. Copper, stay out of it. It's making a huge consolidation here. Probably just one more there, and then you can look for sells. Can we assume that it's over? Can we assume that this is the top, or we didn't break this one? So this would have to go break the top and then come back. Just stay out of it. Natural gas. Okay, we're looking for a sell here. Let's see if we get it. If you took the sell, you got break even. I think it was this sell. Like I'm the 1 hour. When I was here yesterday, I think it was this one. That would have been a break even. If you put an entry order here, you probably got break even. Right. That's about 4 or 5 hours there. If that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's still going to drop for break even. So you could still put an entry order under this low and see if one of them drops. If it's not dropping and you're getting 3 break even, then you wait. US oil. Okay, we don't have the buy setup as yet. And could it be a bigger sell setup forming here? Not as yet. Let's see if this goes back up. If this, comes back here and go back up, comes here and go back up, that could be a buy. Ignore this sell for now. There's a bigger flag here, but this might just come and break this low before it goes back up because we haven't retested this stop as yet. So I don't think we should be selling in this piece now. Let's just wait for take this off and wait for the buy. UK oil, same thing, right? PayPal. Okay, so it drops beyond the low, leave it alone. I don't think we should be selling this. It's already pretty low. I don't know where it's gonna go. It's very much at the lowest. It's just dropping. So if you're thinking about selling this, it's dangerous to sell here. You want this to start doing this before you sell, right? If that is the low, go back up and then you get the sell. Tesla, it's going to be a sell. It's still a sell. Put it in the 1 hour. That's still a sell setup. It might drop today. Looks like it's starting that drop now. Let's see, Amazon, pretty much the same thing. Already dropping. You should be in the trade already. And watch it when it breaks the low. US 30 broke the top, come back. So now we should get sell setups, right? And it's making a flag. Good for you. We'll look for a sell here today when that flag is okay, right? So it's not a sell as yet. We don't have the flag. We want to see a good flag here. And then if we get that flag, then that becomes a sell. Wait for the flag. By New York session, we'll get a flag and then we'll sell it, right? So it turned out the running flat. Good for us. The trade we're looking for is this move down, then a correction and this move down. S&P 500, pretty much the same thing. This didn't actually go up. And this wasn't most of a running flat, so we'll have to just stay away from this. Put this here, let's see. If it makes a flag, we'll still sell it. It doesn't matter. It's not quite clear what it's doing because this was 1, 2, 3. And then they make that deeper correction. So we'll just wait for flags and then we'll decide if we sell it. And NASDAQ. Yep, this one is a sell. So this one didn't change. This was a sell because this was a flat. If we get another flag here, we'll sell again. Next. It's coming back down. So if that is a deep correction, wait, I'll probably allow it to break before I sell. Let it break out, make a flag, then sell. Don't sell inside of that move. It's going to be useless. And Nifty was pulling back. Maybe a bigger correction. Let it finish some kind of a pattern in that correction like this. And then look for sells. Let it complete the pattern and look for sells. Let's go. We'll go very quick now. Bitcoin. Yep, turned out what we expected to be a running flat. In this case, an expanding flat. You get a flag here, probably drop here, and then the upside. So I think one more drop is coming. And then the upside. Put it back here. Probably same thing with Ethereum. Yep. One more drop. Ethereum was pretty sure it's going down. So just get one more drop. You're getting a flag here for sell, by the way. One more drop downside. Let's go. Yeah, this one wasn't a sell. This is still a buy. The weird thing is this thing's still a buy, right? Because this is still a correction coming down. So an entry order above the top here is a good one for the buy. XRP, it's consolidating. It's just making a bigger consolidation. It's just a bigger consolidation for upside. I don't think we will come lower because this is consolidating quite a lot, right? You've got a sharp move. I think we'll go with this as the flat. This one is over. Take that off. And I do believe this one might go from here. So this might take off, right? Bitcoin doesn't have a lot more to drop. This could stay in the consolidation. And then from there, we'll see what happens. This should drop some more. I think this should drop some more. This one should probably drop some more before it goes back up. This is already trying to drop a little more before you go back up. They're all coming down somewhat. It's just going sideways. This should drop. Definitely break the low. Break this low before we get into buys. And this one should break this low. Not necessarily this low, but at least this low. Let's go. I wouldn't go with the upside in this. It's too short. That's just more of a pullback like this before they drop. So I'll go with that as a pullback for downside. And this one probably a little more. Can we be going up from this point? Looks like they're going to drop, break the low, and then go back up. And this one also looks like it's going to probably make a bigger correction here. Is it going to drop through now, or is it going to go back up and then drop through? It should drop through. So let's wait and see. And the last three, right? So this one is kind of pulling back. It did break the low, and it's trying to go up now. So go into 1 hour. It did make an up move spike. It's not what we expected. We expected a more continuation. So you got this flat, you got that move, you got this move, and it's coming down back. Are we making a new low? Let's go back, take a look at the big picture. We don't need to go down back in the big picture. We should continue to go up. So here's what you can do. And this is how you would trade it long term. If you're trading it long term, this is what you should do, right? You should have bought under the low or under this low, right? So you should have bought somewhere in here. Put an entry order to sell at the point you buy, maybe a couple pips more so that you don't take a loss. So that if they make a new low, if this makes a new low, if this here drops, make a new low, we buy under the low. You close that trade and you buy under the low for the upside. So every time it makes a new low, we buy under the low. Can it continue to be a bigger running flat? Possible, not necessarily that it should, but it could happen. They could make a new low and then go back up. It's strange that this one pulled back so fast. Yeah, that's a quick pullback. That looks downside. This looks like a flag for downside. So you probably want to get that, even if you're long-term in it, get it out of the trade and then you get back in the trade. And the same thing should be for all of these, right? Well, this didn't break the lows yet. This still has to go break the low, then we'll buy. And this one. Okay, this broke the low. Where are we? No, it has to go more. I think we're making a running flat here. It could be a longer running flat. I don't think we're going up from this point. If it's going up from this point, we'll wait for a flag here and then we'll start to buy it. And this. Let it drop. It's going down. This piece should drop lower. So it dropped under the low and then we start buying. Right? Let it drop under the low. This is coming down already. So let them do this and then we start looking for buy to the upside. Somewhere under the low here, we start looking for buy setups and we'll take the trade. So guys, it's a long webinar. Thank you those of you who stayed all the way to the end. For the YouTube viewers, whichever part you like, watch and share. I'll see all of you next week. For my traders, I'll see you in the room in a couple of minutes. What time is it now? There, it's already 5 minutes to 8. We'll be in the London session. See all of you in the London session. I'll close and reopen. See you there. Bye.